We love, baby. Live at 5. Except it's not 5, it's 9 in the morning. It's quarter past 9. Hello, if you're listening now. If you're not, if you are, if you're not, whatever, who cares? It's nice to be alive. It's nice to have coffee. And it's nice to be discussing dumb tweets. It's day 1695 of my suspension from Twitter. I filed another appeal this morning, asking, saying that I don't know how I can learn from my mistakes if I'm given a permanent suspension. So all I'm asking is a chance to remedy and learn from my mistakes. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I'll take a look at some dumb tweets. One of them refers to, I was watching yesterday Lance from the Surfs on the Tim Pool show, which is very exciting. It's very cool for Lance to go on and go into the den of the lions, as they say. I heard that he did quite a good job. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I will at some point go ahead and watch some of that. But I did see some of it, especially right at the beginning, where they were talking about the murder of this guy, Jordan Neely. Shoot, I forgot his name. I remember his last name was Neely. Jordan Neely. But it makes me think of Adam Neely, the musical YouTuber. Safe to say that Adam Neely was not murdered on an F train, but this man, Jordan Neely, was. And anyway, so they were talking about this on this was the first thing that they talked about on Tim Pool's podcast, so I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about that as well, because Tim kind of tweeted about it. I suppose beforehand, like, it's hard for me to keep up when I'm not on Twitter. Hard for me to keep up with all the stuff that people tweet and all those kinds of things, especially when a lot of these people's it's their job to be in and amongst all this stuff. So keeping up with the stuff all the time can be difficult, but doing my best. So here we go. Let's go on to the first one, which I believe is not going to load. There we go. Yeah, is the Tim Pool tweet? Is it the first one I got there? Yeah, it is. Here we go. Cool. Okay, so Tim Pool. So this is from 2 days ago, I suppose. So and I believe maybe when, I don't know when Lance went on. Lance was maybe on yesterday or something. It's all very weird with time zones and things like that as well. Me over here in New Zealand, behind everybody. So Tim Pool retweeting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, congresswoman, congressperson, absolute legend, someone that the right hates. And yes, Tim Pool is on the right. The fact that anyone would think otherwise. No, I'm a centrist. I saw a really great meme yesterday that was to do with with centrists. Oh, it was something like, like, I'm a centrist, but I only happen to agree with everything of the far right, or something like that. I don't know. It was apt, and it made a lot of sense. Anyway, so this is Mr. Tim Pool from Tim at Timcast. This is malicious. Also, hold on. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, Jordan Neely was murdered, but because Jordan was houseless and crying for food at the time when the city is raising rents and stripping services to militarize itself, while many in power demonize the poor, the murder gets protected with passive headlines and no charges. It's disgusting, which I tend to agree with. I tend to agree with that. I'll talk about the murder in a minute. But Tim Pool takes issue with this. This is a malicious evil. I'm not going to excuse it. AOC is evil. That's it. She's evil. Sips coffee. Now, this is difficult for me because like one of the ways I just realized at the bottom of the screen there it says N-words. Just gonna get rid of that. That's from me saving it. Oh shoot. There we go. That's really funny. So it's difficult because what I try to do is understand the position of the other person so as to understand what the fuck they're talking about. Because it's difficult to understand what the hell Tim is talking about or how he could think that AOC is evil for saying that someone was murdered. But if you can understand where Tim's coming from, then I suppose you can kind of understand. Hi, Aisha. I'm going to be doing them as much as I possibly can. So, regular timing, I don't know, but I try. I'm here now, so stick around. AOC is malicious. So, from what I could gather from Tim's show yesterday, is that Tim believes that this guy, the guy who murdered Jordan Neely, was protecting himself. He was exercising his right as an American to self-defense. It's kind of the Kyle Rittenhouse defense. It's he was engaging in self-defense so as to protect himself and the people around him. This is what Tim and his people were kind of saying. They were positing all these hypotheticals about, talking to Lance about, well, shouldn't someone, if someone's threatening your life, should you not be able to, which first of all is very weird and disingenuous because that's not what happened. I'll talk about what happened in a second, but it's not what happened. But second of all, it's really weird because I'm pretty sure that Tim is on the side of people who make fun of the idea that words are violence. Like, they're the people that say harden up snowflakes, don't get so offended by words, don't get so, like if someone, like I've had these arguments with Kyle Rittenhouse supporters before where they believe that if someone, I'm just going to turn it down a little bit, if someone is yelling at you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you and your family, then you should have the right to pull out your gun and kill them. Which to me is bizarre. Like, I cannot comprehend, I can't, that's just bizarre to me. But Kyle Rittenhouse, like the people that I've heard supporting Kyle Rittenhouse, believe that is, whether that's legal, but that's what they believe should be legal, I suppose. Now, I don't know if Tim necessarily believes that, but I know that he was kind of along these lines when he was talking yesterday. He was talking about how if someone comes onto a train and starts, getting all aggressive and violent in their language, again, violent language, that, I don't know, you're not, that doesn't sound like something that the right really believes in. Violent language, you can't use violent language. When Matt Walsh is out here saying about how all trans people are demonic, child molesters and all that sort of thing, which then results in bomb threats and trans people getting attacked. It's not his fault. His language wasn't. There was no violence in the language. There was no problem with the language that he was using. There was no, his position of power and influence has nothing to do with any of that stuff. Anyway, This is what they believe, by the way. Okay, so Tim thinks that if someone comes onto a subway cart and is speaking and acting in an aggressive or violent way, not acting in a violent way, because this is the thing. It's so hard to get my head around what the hell they fucking believe. But he believes that you should be able to defend yourself from that hypothetical. The chance of danger, because it was, and I'm pretty sure that is accurate. I mean, like he was talking about, and Lance was asking him, how do you know that you're in danger? It's not that you haven't actually been attacked yet, but someone is saying that you believe that you're about to be in danger. Therefore, you can preempt that and take down this threat. And then the people on the leftist mafia who were talking about this at the time, they were also saying, he's advocating for vigilante justice, which is true. So it's all very fucked up and weird. I don't really understand. And it means that, that any person who, like in this case, we've got a person potentially suffering from mental illness who's found themselves homeless, without a house, without food, without any source of income, without the ability to live a meaningful or not meaningful, but a life that without endless hardship, that finds no other way to express that and deal with that than to go onto a train and yell certain things, which I'll get to in a second, which weren't directed at the person who attacked. But I mean, okay, so you've got this person expressing themselves in this certain way, which could be perceived by some as aggressive or violent, maybe. Tim thinks that a normal citizen should be able to subdue that person and potentially kill them. I think that's evil. I think that Tim is evil to believe that. That is, you're advocating for people to just be indiscriminately killing each other. It's bizarre. It's a really fucked up way to think that this society should be. And so Tim thinks that AOC is evil because she thinks that the guy who was defending himself murdered Jordan Neely. That's evil to Tim, apparently. Which, again, I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about, Tim? What? I mean, I understand, like, Tim lives in some, like, compound or some shit, moved away from New York City and all this sort of stuff. He's the, isolating himself in this way. I don't know, maybe he's just a paranoid weirdo. It's absolutely fucking wild to me. Okay, so let's have a look at what actually happened to Jordan Neely. So here we go. On May the 1st, a 24-year-old named Daniel Penny choked Jordan Neely to death on a New York subway train. Mr. Penny has not been charged. Yeah, pretty fucked up, y'all. So let's just go skip ahead to what actually happened. Okay, so what happened on the F train? The police said they received a call at 2:27 p.m. on Monday about a fight on the F train at the Broadway Lafayette Street subway station in Manhattan. Shortly after that, Mr. Neely had boarded. Shortly before that, Mr. Neely had boarded the northbound train at 2nd Avenue Station, said Juan Alberto Velquez. Sorry, I'm bad with names. A freelance journalist who recorded a nearly 4-minute long video that captured the moments where Mr. Penny was holding Mr. Neely in a chokehold. Mr. Neely immediately began screaming causing people who were sitting near to him to move away. Mr. Velquez recalled. Mr. Neely said he was hungry and thirsty, took off his jacket, throwing it down on the ground. "I'm tired already," he said, according to Mr. Velquez. "I don't care if I go to jail and get locked up. I'm ready to die." It is unclear if Mr. Penny said anything to Mr. Neely at this point. Mr. Velquez said he did not see him grab Mr. Neely, but that he heard a thump and then saw both men on the floor. The train stopped at Broadway Lafayette, where it remained standing while Mr. Neely was pinned down, as two other men grabbed his arms and legs. At 2:29 p.m., another passenger can be heard in the video saying that his wife had been in the military and knew about chokeholds, and warning the men that they should make sure that Mr. Neely had not defecated on himself. "You don't have to catch a murder charge," he said. "You got a hell of a chokehold, man." The man then placed Mr. Neely, who was motionless, on his side. A transit worker can be heard over the loudspeaker calling for the police. "He's all right," the passenger who had given warning said. "He's not going to die." Police have not responded to messenger asking what time they arrived on the scene. The fire department said it received a call for them to help at 2:39 p.m. and arrived at 2:46. Mr. Neely was taken to Lenox Health Hospital in Greenwich Village, where he was pronounced dead. The police said medical examiner's office on Wednesday that the cause of death was compression of the neck and ruled Mr. Neely's death a homicide. So there you go. That's pretty fucked up. I mean, I'm assuming that this is the cause of events. I mean, it seems. I mean, this is what people were saying yesterday. Maybe I should read a bit more. But from what is written here, we have a man, a houseless person, a person who does not have a home, homeless person, who can't find food, is at wit's end, and just comes onto a train to express that to a crowd of people, basically. It's hard to tell whether he was doing that to what the purpose, but clearly he was upset. He's been suffering for some time, I imagine, and he is coming here to express himself. He says, I'm ready to die. I want to go to jail. He says, I want to go to jail. So, maybe he's saying that, I'd prefer to be living in jail where they actually provide life essentials as opposed to living on the street as I'm doing at the moment. So it's clear that this guy was having a tough time. And he didn't really... I mean, it's not clear whether he said something particularly or did anything to the other guy, who then decided it was a good idea to put him in a chokehold, which itself is something that that we know can result in someone's death. It's like, why would you do that to another person? Well, there's a quote a little further up where like a statement from the guy. Daniel never intended to harm Mr. Neely and could not have foreseen his untimely death. Fuck off. You didn't intend to harm the guy you were putting in a chokehold for no particular reason and did not see the untimely death of you as a result of you, compressing his windpipe for however fucking long it was. Ridiculous. But yeah, this isn't being charged as a murder for, and AOC saying that this is a murder is evil, according to Tim Pool. There's just so much. Anyway, I got to move on because there's some other stuff to get to. So, Tim Pool, you're a fucking weirdo moron. This guy was murdered. It's fucked up, and there needs to be justice. Matt Walsh. So, if you've been living under a rock for the last, however, even I know that this is a thing. But to be fair, I suppose I was on Twitter for this period of time when this stuff was happening. Basically, Bud White, Bud Light, a beer in America, chose to use a trans person as a spokesperson for their brand, the right wing absolutely lost their shit. They were not happy. So a bunch of right wingers like destroyed their Bud Light that they had already bought, or they bought more Bud Light and then shot it with their guns and things like that. You know, totally normal behavior for adult people to engage in. So, but, you know, here we are, I don't know, I suppose like a month after the fact, after all this stuff is happening, and Matt Walsh is claiming victory. I'm not sure if most people fully appreciate the significance of this Bud Light stuff. We made an iconic American brand toxic virtually overnight because it endorsed gender ideology. This is a pivotal moment, a map to follow going forward. Matt is desperate. Matt is absolutely desperate for his ridiculous crusade against trans people and gay people and all that sort of stuff. This is his cross to bear. He's absolutely desperate to be relevant for this, for his endless hatred, his waking up every morning cursing the name of trans people. This is how Matt lives his life. He absolutely seethes at the idea of any trans people existing. His days are spent, he's sitting there eating his cereal, being like, "Grr, trans people." He's sipping his coffee going, "Fucking, I'm gonna get those transes. I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna fucking get them." That's his whole day. His whole day is spent just absolutely just filling his diaper because of trans people. And he wants that to be, he does not want that to go to waste. He wants to be relevant. He wants the world to be on his side in this. And they aren't, because we know that during the last midterm, you know, his whole crusade was for naught, because people turned up in droves to vote out a bunch of anti-LGBTQ people, so, you know, like politicians and stuff, who the right had been pushing. And so Matt here is desperate to say that, you know, their endless hatred for trans people, which causes them to, you know, even the mere mention of a rainbow sticker on a book will cause them to burn the library down. This kind of nonsense. You know, he's desperate for that to not be in vain. And so here we have Bud Light. He's desperate that that Bud Light has been, you know, he wants Bud Light to know that they're bad, I suppose. And that this is the way that the right wing should be going forward from now on. They should be targeting and boycotting, canceling, if you will, anyone who endorses gender ideology. Funny because I'll get to the actual thing in a minute, but it's also funny because, like, this is just capitalism. Like, Bud Light. I keep going to say Bud White. Lol. Bud Light made a decision to endorse or to use a trans person as their spokesperson, probably because they did a bunch of calculations and they were like, this is going to get us more money, basically. That's how brands operate under capitalism. They do things that they think are going to get them more money. They're not doing it for whatever other reason. And, you know, okay, but that is the sort of, like, these guys are pro-capitalism. They are okay with this. Their whole ideology is a pro-capitalist ideology. And now that, but only capitalism that works, and it works in their I don't know. Like I say, it's dumb. It's dumb. They should be thinking, okay, capitalism. This is the thing that I have been advocating for my entire life. But the old ticker in the head doesn't really work that way. Anyway, so they can't admit that because, like I say, it's their whole ideology. Anyway, so let's have a look here, just real quick, at the Bud Light, the Anheuser-Busch stock prices, because Matt Walsh is saying that they've made an iconic American brand toxic. So one would think that would be reflected in the Anheuser-Busch, Anheuser-Busch being the parent company of Bud Light, in their stock prices. So let's have a look here. I mean, this is just over the day. So I mean, it's not really a lot to see, but if we go like 3 months, let's have a look here. So it looks like over the last 3 months, the stock is kind of risen. It's been from about $60. We ended up here today at $64. So, I mean, it's down a little bit over the last day or so, but over 3 months, it's actually risen by about $5. If we go to 6 months, compared to November 2022, where it was at $52 even, it's up a whole $10. So steady increase over the last 6 months. Again, over a year, what else we got? Oh, hold on, what's year to date? 1 year. Yeah, I mean, if you look at sort of 2022, you're getting down to somewhere about $45. We're all the way up to $64 now. That's nearly $20, $20 increase in the share price of Anheuser-Busch. Sorry to say, Matt Walsh, but I don't really think that your stupid little tantrum has really affected Anheuser-Busch in any way in particular. Sorry. I think they're going to be fine. I think they are fine. Hilarious. But, keep fucking crying your nonsense tears over nothing. Right, next. Oh, it's Matt Walsh again. This is just real quick. Oh, actually, this kind of ties in. There's a couple of things to do with this one thing. So I'll go through these all. So Matt Walsh defends using the N-word. The idea that there's a word that cannot be uttered under any circumstance is completely insane. Completely insane. How dare we not like racism? Benjamin Dixon here. Just out here just being a badass. No one can explain to me why I'm wrong about making this point here. Jason Campbell especially cannot. This is what Matt Walsh said. And then Benjamin Dixon comes along and he's like, feel free to turn on your location to test your theory out. Matt Walsh says, the fact that you're threatening physical violence and retaliation for a single word only proves exactly the point I was making, which of course you're far too stupid to understand. And then Benjamin Dixon says, see a Nazi, and then posts a gif of a Nazi being punched in the face, which, is a proportionate response to there being a Nazi. Matt Walsh is desperate to say the N-word. And no one can explain why he's wrong, apparently. Let's just go real quick to the next one. So Ben also is upset. Ben Shapiro calls the firing of Barstool employee for saying N-word corporate cowardice. It's cowardice to be against racism, apparently. Now, I had to look up what actually happened here. So there's some sort of podcast or something or other where some guy was on the podcast. I assume he was an employee of some sort. Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy tweeted a video in which he explained that Ben Mintz, who had hosted his own morning show on the platform, had been fined after rapping song lyrics without censoring the racial slur that they contained on Monday. Okay, so there you go. This guy on this podcast was rapping along to a song and didn't censor himself saying the N-word. Should he have been fired for that? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. But white people shouldn't be saying the N-word. Sorry, that I know that's a contentious position to hold, but nah, just don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. It's racist. Don't do it. But Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro out here taking the bold stance that, you know, we should be allowed to say it in certain contexts. I want Matt Walsh. Matt, look at me. Hey Matt. So there's this word that you really want to say and you believe that there is some context there it should be said. Can you please find that context and then say it? Please. Matt, look at me. Matt, look at me, Matt. Look at me. Look at me, Matt. Look at me. Please find that context and please say it. Please, I'm begging you. Matt Walsh from one black-hearted, queer, non-binary person to a Nazi. Please find that context and please say it. I'll do anything. Thanks. Next. This is just kind of funny. This was a while ago. Jordan Peterson. Okay, so NBC News. More than 300 children. That was kind of a funny place to stop talking. NBC News, more than 300 children. More than 300 children, including two 10-year-olds, were found working at McDonald's restaurants across Kentucky and several other states' labor departments say. So, child labor. I'm pretty sure we can agree that that's a bad thing. But Jordan Peterson comes along, takes the bold stance that, actually, you know what? Child labor, I'm okay with it. Bold stance, Peterson. Bold stance. Coming out here, taking, just laying it down, being, taking the road that no one else can. That I nailed that. Totally nailed that. Here we go. So Jordan Peterson. Oh my God. They were working when they could be fretting about gender or worrying about the coming climate apocalypse. Jordan Peterson, you wow, you're so funny. I love that right-wingers all think, they all think to some degree that they're kind of comedians. Like Peterson here, Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, all these guys, they think that they're funny. They think that there's a certain part of them that's particularly funny, and so and that kind of peeps out just a little occasionally. So yeah, Jordan's he's a little joke here. It's a little jokey joke. These 10-year-olds, they could be upset about the gender stuff or the climate apocalypse. Oh, hilarious. So, just a reminder that Jordan Peterson is a climate change denier. So he's a moron. And they could be fretting about gender. I mean, you can fret about gender and also be forced into, working a job for an evil soulless corporation. You can do both of those. Why not both? Yeah, so there you go. Jordan Peterson, bold pro-child labor stance. Taking there. So right, that's pretty much all I need to say about that. Next. Oh, okay. Here's my good friend End Wokeness. Let's just bring this up a little bigger like this. My good friend End Wokeness, who eventually blocked me on Twitter before I had my free speech suppressed. And he's here being tweeted at by Elon Musk, the totally centrist, just not a conservative. He was on Bill Maher recently, and he was opining the fact that people call him a conservative when he's just a guy whose political opinions haven't changed. They've just never changed, and it's everybody else that's changed. Do you know what conserve means? Conservative? Do you know what being conservative means? I mean, a face value look at that word conservative means that you're conserving the same ideology. You're staying the way things were, while other people are progressing. They're moving, they're changing, they're adopting new ideas and positions as they discover new things. So yeah, you're a conservative. And, friends with a Nazi. Because end wokeness is a Nazi. I'll say it again. End wokeness, you're a Nazi. But, Elon Musk is out here. Perspective is everything. So this is I've got some context on this graph in a second. It's a common one to be retweeted or tweeted. Here's it or not. Ow! It's a common one to be tweeted by Nazis on Twitter. Famously, a little while ago, a couple of years back, in fact, JonTron, the gaming YouTuber, tweeted out a version of this, being like, "What's all this about?" Interracial violent crime statistics incidents 2018. So you've got black on white interracial violence. You got 547,948 incidents of black on white crime, violent crime. And then next to that, you've got black on Hispanic crime, which is only 100,000. And then down the bottom here, you got white on black crime, which is where you can see the media here are focusing. So the media are like, oh no, poor black people being attacked by white people. There's 59,000. When and then you've got all these other ones of other things that the media are not focusing on. So basically, what he's saying is that the media are trying to present a victim narrative of poor black people being attacked by white people, and that's all they ever talk about on the news. And when you change your perspective, you see that actually it's the blacks that are hurting the whites. That's the problem. That's the real problem, is the blacks and the Hispanics here as well. See, the Hispanics, they have a lot of a lot of the violence on the white people. End wokeness as a Nazi. And so here Elon Musk says, odd, why would the media misrepresent the real situation to such an extreme degree? It's like the most concern-trolling nonsense I've ever seen in my fucking entire life. Elon, what the fuck are you talking about? Elon, let me back on Twitter. Elon, look at me. Elon, Mr. Musk, look at me. Let me back on Twitter. Elon, look deeply into my eyes. Look into my eyes, Elon. Let me back on Twitter. Let me back on Twitter. You fucking piece of shit. Hopefully that works. Good. So what's up with this? What's going on here? So why would they misrepresent it? Let's have a look. Here's the actual table, the actual statistics from this study, I suppose, or gathering of data. Percentage of violent incidents by victim and offender, race or ethnicity, 2018. So here we got over here we've got the victim the victim's race, ethnicity, and then the number of violent incidents, and then it's broken down into the offender race / ethnicity. Note details may not sum. May not sum to total around incidents or specific criminal act involving one or more incidents, offenders, race, and ethnicity based on victim's perception of the offenders. So that's kind of important as well. So, the victim, white people, racism. Oh no, I was attacked by a black man. It's important to think about, I think. Includes violent incidents in which, like, for example, okay, say we were living in a society where, it was a white supremacist society that all of the white people were in power, that the cops were all white, that white people believed that black people were inferior, kind of violent animals, basically. Not saying that we necessarily live in that right now, but say that we did, say, back in the early 1900s or something, and say that a white person was attacked violently, and it was a man, and they were a man, and their masculinity as well is necessarily tied to, certain levels of, the way that they are perceived by other people is important to them. So to say that they, actually in that situation, I suppose, like if they had to say that they were attacked by a black person, that might be actually quite shaming. Maybe they would have to say that it was attacked by a woman, All I'm saying is that the opinion that people have the about other people in society and things like that, especially if we were living underneath a white supremacist society where people have certain opinions about, people want to continue the vilification of an entire group of people. They might, if they were so, inclined to be predisposed to say, oh, it was a black person that attacked me, not a white person, or, their skin was a little bit tanned, so, they're going to lean more towards... I mean, this is kind of the problem of whiteness and blackness as well, right? I mean, like, what is whiteness? How do you say that someone else is white if they've got a little bit of darkness in their skin? There's all these problems with this nonsense. And anyway, so this is self-reporting kind of stuff. There's going to be a lot of error in that as well. So, take these figures with a grain of salt is what I'm getting at. Interpret with caution. Estimate is based on 10 or fewer sample cases or coefficient of variant that is greater than 50%. Oh, that's talking about something else. But there was a bit that was important. Oh, yeah, so here you go. I mean, that's important. It's saying here, because, the one that we're looking at particularly is the black on white violence. So, and that was the figure here. So this 51.3% of 3,500,000 people, white people attacked, 15% of those were attacked by black people. But under here it says, oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing again. My God. My brain is not working. Anyway, point that I wanted to get at was that if we take a look at, as Elon says here, why would the media represent the real situation to such an extreme degree? Or, perspective is everything. If we take a look at the perspective of this whole thing, that, yes, in this case, 15% of 3,500,000 people is something like 500,000, whatever it says. 547,948. That's how many black people attacked white people. But if we look just a little bit to the left of that, you can see that 62% of people that attacked white people were other white people. So, and that's not even included on this graph here. Like, if you look at this interracial violent crime statistics graph here, they haven't even got white-on-white crime on this whole thing. I mean, they say it's interracial. This is important. You need to make sure that you're looking at the interracial statistics. Otherwise, you might find that your point, your vilification of an entire group of people that you're using these statistics for kind of flies out the window. So yeah, I mean, 62% of 3.5 million is something like 2,224,024 white people attacked other white people during this time. So, maybe white people should be scared of other white people. Maybe they should be scared of other white people. I mean, and that's also not to, like if you're looking at this, there's more white people. There's just more white people. So if you look at you're looking at the other way around, white on black violence, that smaller number. First of all, you've got a smaller number of black people incidents, only 500,000, and then you've got 10% of that is how many, 10% of that 500,000 is the number of white on black things. So of course that number is going to be smaller because you're taking from a smaller group, smaller group overall, which is then the percentage of that is even smaller. So of course that number is going to be smaller. You fucking moron. But proportionately, if you're looking at population-wise, proportions of a population, then it's going to be different. I can't figure it out from my maths brain doesn't work. But, it's safe to say that this, look at the arrow, that fucking graph is stupid and dumb and used by a Nazi. And Elon Musk is agreeing with it. What does that say about Elon Musk? He's not a centrist. Here's Elon Musk again with Mr. End Wokeness. Over 6.3 million illegal aliens entered the country since 2001. 33 states have a population below 6.3 million. Elon Musk, wow. Wow. Just the absolute state of these fucking people. Over 6.3 million illegal aliens entered the country since January 2021. Like, first of all, I can't fathom caring about this. Like, I don't care. Like I don't care. Some people came into the country. Maybe they're living here now. I don't care. If that was happening here in New Zealand, I wouldn't care. I like people. People are nice. But just because they're illegal aliens doesn't make them necessarily bad people. So I don't care. You can tell that, this guy's just such a racist. 6.3 million illegal aliens. Just the way they frame it is just so fucking telling of how much, of a fucking racist piece of shit they are. I don't even want to look up because I don't care. 33 states have a population below 6.3 million. So, who cares? There's plenty of room for other people. And you know what? You know why probably a lot of people are moving to the States? First of all, there's this whole mythology around United States being the greatest country in the world and the country of opportunity where, send us your tired, poor, and huddled masses yearning to whatever the fuck, It's the country of immigrants. It's the place where people, in the imaginations of the world, of the people of the world, the States is that place where you go if you are an immigrant searching for a place, the land of opportunity. That's the sort of thing that you guys promote all the time. America's the greatest country in the world. So, of course people are going to want to move there. Second of all, you've got American foreign policy that fucks up a whole bunch of people's homes. There are a lot of wars going on at the moment. Not necessarily, I don't pretend to know much about the Ukrainian-Russian conflict at the moment, but maybe there's a bunch of people coming from Ukraine to come here. Southern states in Southern America. As far as I understand, a lot of those places are impoverished because of American foreign policy. Thirdly, climate change. This thing that is actually happening is making it so that people's places, the places that they live, the places that they have been living, are becoming inhospitable. When Ben Shapiro is all like, "Oh, you should just pack up and move when your house becomes underwater," where are they going to move to, Ben? Maybe the United States. But that's what is happening. Climate change is causing a lot of migration, a lot of migration, because people are needing to find better places to live, because the places that they are currently living are inhospitable. So, those are the reasons why this is happening. But these people also don't give a shit about that stuff. They just see, all these people are coming into my country. And that's bad for reasons. I mean, obviously, they paint them as murderers and drug dealers and rapists and all that sort of thing. I mean, that's something that they do as well. They say that sort of stuff, and that's what they believe. Whether this guy actually believes that, I don't know, but I know that his audience does, and he tweets this stuff to pander to that sort of hatred and fear, I suppose. That's what, and that's how he gets the engagement. He's playing on people's fear of illegal aliens. And gets the engagement this way because of that. That's what this guy does. He gets upset about things changing, and panders to those fears. So there you go, Elon Musk hanging out with a Nazi. Good shit. That's pretty much it. I've got one more thing that I wanted to show you because this is great, and I always like to end on something nice. Something heartwarming. And this isn't necessarily heartwarming, it's just kind of funny. You got the dog here, and the dog's looking for the cat, and the cat's hanging on the tree. Where'd the cat go? She's not under a bush. She's not over there. I love it. This it reminds me very much of our dog. Like we've got this dog called Rosie. Oh, you know Rosie. You do. You know Rosie. You've seen her. I took this video at Christmas where we had the toy and we're playing hide and seek, and I squeezed it and then put it in a corner, and Rosie literally came and walked past it and then looked over top of it and then went away. Very silly dogs. Very silly dogs. Anyway, that's me for the day. I'm gonna go and do some study. Got my thesis to write. Got my introduction to my thesis and my first chapter. Shall be writing at this point in time. I hope that you enjoyed the stream. If you were listening in, after the fact, thank you for tuning in after the fact. I appreciate you, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.